Etavad eva jignasam.
एतावदेव जिज्ञासाम्
Tattva jignasu manaha.
तत्त्वजिज्ञासु आत्मनः
Anvaya vyatirekhabhyam.
अन्मयव्यतिरेखाभ्याम्
Yatsyat sarvatra sarvada.
यस्य सर्वत्र सर्वदा
Sarvada means always. Sarvatra means everywhere. Right? I mean, most of the things we can understand. If you know one Indian language, you should be able to like work back and understand Sanskrit. Jignasu. Jignasu means somebody who's inquisitive. And Tattva Jignasa means something about the personality of the Lord. Right? So not just inquisitive about any material subject. So a person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it to know this all-pervading truth. And that's what we are doing in this class and many other classes. So the whole idea is that we should be inquisitive about absolute truth. There's so many relative truths, right? Like yes, when you wear shoes while running, it feels comfortable to the leg. Yeah, that's truth, but that's not absolute truth. There's so many relative truths. We need to always think about absolute truth. Okay, Sarvana, please read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are serious about the knowledge of the transcendental world, which is far beyond the material cosmic creation, must approach a bona fide spiritual master to learn the science both directly and indirectly. One must learn both the means to approach the desired destination
and the hindrances to such progress. The spiritual master knows how to regulate the habits of a neophyte disciple, and therefore a serious student must learn the science in all its aspects from him. There are different grades and standards of prosperity. The standard of comfort and happiness conceived by a common man engaged in material labor is the lowest grade of all happiness, for it is in relationship with the body. The highest standard of such bodily comfort is achieved by a fruitive worker who, by pious activities, reaches the planet of heaven, or the kingdom of the creative gods with their delegated powers. Delegated powers. But the conception of comfortable life in heaven is insignificant in comparison to the happiness enjoyed in impersonal Brahman, and and this this Brahmananda, the spiritual bliss derived from impersonal Brahman, is like the water in the hoofprint of a calf compared to the ocean of love of Godhead. Whenever one develops pure love for the Lord, he derives an ocean of transcendental happiness from the association of the personality of Godhead. To qualify oneself to reach the stage of life is the highest perfection. One should try to purchase a ticket to go back home, back to Godhead. The price of such a ticket is one's intense desire for it, which is not easily awakened, even if one continuously performs pious activities for thousands of lives. All mundane relationships are sure to be broken in the course of time. But once one establishes a relationship with the personality of Godhead in a particular rasa, it is never to be broken, even after the annihilation of the material world. One should understand through the transparent medium of the spiritual master that the Supreme Lord exists everywhere in his transcendental spiritual nature, and that this living entity's relationships with the Lord are directly and indirectly existing everywhere, even in this material world. In the spiritual world, there are 5 kinds of relationships with the Supreme Lord: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The perverted reflections of these rasas are found in the material world. Land, home, furniture, and other inert material objects are related in Shanta, or the neutral and silent sense, whereas servants work in the Dasya relationship. The reciprocation between friends is called Sakhya. The affection of a parent for a child is known as vatsalya, and the affairs of conjugal love constitute madhurya. These five relationships in the material world are distorted reflections of the original pure sentiments which should be understood and perfected in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. In the material world, the perverted rasas bring frustration. If these rasas are re-established with Lord Krishna, the result is eternal, blissful life. From this and the preceding three verses of the Caitanya Caritamrta, which have been selected from Srimad Bhagavatam, the missionary activities of Lord Chaitanya can be understood. Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses, which are summarized in the four verses beginning with Aham Evasam Eva Gre, 53, and concluding with Yat Syat Sarvatra Sarvada, 56. In the first of these verses, 53, the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is explained. The second verse, 54, further explains that the Lord is detached from the workings of the material energy, Maya. The living entities, although parts and parcels of Lord Krishna, are prone to be controlled by the external energy. Therefore, although they are spiritual, in the material world, they are encased in bodies of material energy. The eternal relationship of the living entities with the Supreme Lord is explained in that verse. The next verse, 55, instructs that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his inconceivable energies, is simultaneously one with and different from the living entities and the material energy. This knowledge is called um, Achintya Beda
Veda,
Bedha
Veda.
Beda Achintya Bedha Beda Tattva. When an individual living entity surrenders to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he can then develop natural transcendental love for him. This surrendering process should be the primary concern of a human being. In the next verse, 56, it is said that a conditioned soul must ultimately approach a bona fide spiritual master and try to understand perfectly the material and spiritual worlds and his own existential position. Here the words Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam, directly and indirectly, suggests that one must learn the process of devotional service in its two aspects. One must directly execute the process of devotional service and indirectly avoid the impediments to progress.
Yeah, this is a very, very big purport by Swami Prabhupada. Swami Prabhupada ki jai. So, what is being said here? You see this small baby? Somebody gave her a Bhagavad Gita gift, looks like. So one must directly execute the process of devotional service and indirectly avoid the impediments to progress. There are only two things: accentuate the positive, and eliminate the negative. And Srila Prabhupada talks about these three verses, right? 53 to 56. So in 53, transcendental nature of Lord Krishna is explained. So in 53, so that's in 53. And in 54, Lord is detached from workings of material energy Maya. So although Maya is his energy, he doesn't interfere with Maya. Maya will do her own little gymnastics for us to fall trap to her. She'll just throw some small rewards to us and then we stay in the material world. The next verse instructs that the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his inconceivable person is simultaneously one and different from living entities and material energy. So there is Supreme Personality, there is living entities, and there is material energy. Always think of these three things. So three things are Supreme Personality, living entities, which is Tatashta Shakti, and then material energy, which is Bahirangaka Shakti. So living entities is Tatashta, means marginal, and material energy is Bahiranga. Bahiranga means external. Antaranga means internal. Ranga means field, right? Remember we talked about fields, different fields last time. Let me try to see if I have that slide, or maybe it's in a different PowerPoint. Okay, Control C. Let's move this slide to that other PowerPoint so that we can keep it all in one place. Sorted slides. Yeah, this is the one that I was talking about. So there is knower of all the fields, and then he distributes himself as Paramatma millions of times, trillions of times. And then the soul is stuck in its own field called a body. And then there are these five senses, and it is struggling with these five senses. So one must directly execute, indirectly avoid the impediments, and then he gives this information around by his inconceivable energies, the Supreme Lord. What does he do? He's simultaneously one and different from living entities. So that is called Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Means simultaneously we are like the Lord. At the same time, he is different, we are different. So this is the Tattva. Tattva means anything to do with spirituality, spiritual knowledge is Tattva. So what is this Bheda Abheda? Bheda means you are one with the Lord. Abheda means you are at the same time different than the Lord. So you have Lord's energies in a small portion, but at the same time you are not the Lord. You are separate from the Lord. And then surrendering process should be the primary concern of human being. So this is very, very important. We have to surrender. That is Sarva Dharman Parityaja from Bhagavad Gita. Last chapter 18.66, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Means give up all kinds of activities, duties, religions, and simply surrender to me, Krishna says. So Anvaya Vyatirekhabhyan. Vyatireka means indirect. Anvaya means direct, aligned with. Directly and indirectly, one must learn the process of devotional service. So this seems to be a summary of all the things that came before this particular verse. So Srila Prabhupada is summarizing these three key points. That Lord has a transcendental nature, is detached from working of material energy, and then is simultaneously one with and different from. This is the key point. Some people will say, yeah, we are also like God. Yes, you are right. Somebody will say, no, no, we are different from God. You are also right. Because both are correct. We are simultaneously one and different from the Lord. So if you understand that, then you understood this verse. Chintamanir jagati somagirir guru me
चिन्तामणि
Jai-
जयति सोमगिरि गुरुर्मे
शिक्षा गुरुश्च भगवान् सिकी पिंच मौलिः
शिक्षा गुरुश्च भगवान् श्रीकिपिञ्च मौलिः
यत्पादकल्पतरुपल्लवशेखरेषु
Yatpa-
यत्पादकल्पतरुपलवसेकरेषु
लीला स्वयंवररसं लभते जयश्रीः
Ila-
लीलायम्बररसं लभते जयश्रीः
So this is just like Suprabhatam. All glories to Chintamani and my initiating spiritual master Somagiri. So it appears that this is Who is reciting the Chaitanya Charitamrita? We discussed this few weeks ago.
Sorry, Prabhu. What the question?
Who is reciting Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.
Yeah.
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.
Yeah. So he has Shiksha Gurus and Diksha Gurus. It appears that his Shiksha Guru is Somagiri. No, sorry, Diksha Guru is Somagiri. And Shiksha Guru, he has many, right?
Hard sitting here.
So according to glories to Chintamani and my initiating spiritual master Somagiri, all glories to my instructing spiritual master and the supreme personality of Godhead, right? Who wears peacock feathers in his crown. So he doesn't say Krishna. He says somebody who wears peacock feathers, which is Krishna, it is that individual. Under the shade of his lotus feet, which are like desire trees, Jayashri, Radharani enjoys the transcendental mellow of an eternal consent. See, this name is very common, right, in India? A lot of people have Jayashri. So, Jayashri means Radharani. So, Shri means Lakshmi Devi. Jayashri means higher than Lakshmi. Good to know. Okay, Manoranjan, can you read? You have to get off mute and read this.
And this verse is from Krishna Karnamrita, which was written by a great Vaishnava sannyasi named Bilva Mangal Thakur, who is also known as Lila Sukha. He intensely desired to enter into the eternal pastimes of the Lord, and he lived at Vrindavan for 700 years. 700 years in the vicinity of Brahmakunda, a still existing bathing tank in Vrindavan. The history of Bilva Mangal Thakur is given in a book called Sri Vallava Digvijaya. He appeared in the 8th century of the Saka era in the province of Dravida and was the chief disciple of Vishnu Swami. In a list of temples and monasteries kept in Sankaracharya's monastery in Dwarka, Bilba Mangal is mentioned as the founder of the Dwarkadis temple there. He entrusted the service of this deity to Hari Brahmachari, a disciple of Balava Bhatta. Bilva Mangal Thakur.
Bilva Mangala Thakur actually entered into the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. He has recorded his transcendental experiences and appreciation in the book known as Krishna Karnamrta. In the beginning of that book, he has offered his obeisances to his different gurus, and it is to be noted that he is adored them all equally. The first spiritual master mentioned is
Chintamani.
Chintamani, who was one of his instructing spiritual masters, because she first showed him the spiritual path. Chintamani was a prostitute with whom Bilva Mangala was intimate earlier in his life. She gave him the inspiration to begin on the path of devotional service, and because she convinced him to give up material existence to try for perfection by loving Krishna, he has offered. He has first offered his respects to her. Next, he offers his respects to his initiating spiritual master Somagiri, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead was also his instructing spiritual master. He explicitly mentions Bhagavan, who has peacock feathers on his crown because of the because the Lord of Vrindavan Krishna, the coward boy, used to come to Bilva Mangala to talk with him and supply him with milk in his adoration of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality, of Godhead. He states that JST, the goddess of fortune, Srimati Radharani, takes shelter in the shade of his lotus feet to enjoy the transcendental rasa of nuptial love. The complete treatise Krishna Caritamrta is dedicated to the transcendental pastimes of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. It is a book to read and understood by the most elevated devotees of Sri Krishna.
Very good reading. So I was incorrect earlier. I said Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's spiritual master Somagiri. No, this is the story of Bilva Mangal Thakur. So Bilva Mangal Thakur was from South India, and early in his life, he had attachment to a society girl, and later on, that girl, like one day to meet her, he goes through heavy rain. He crosses a river which is in flood, and then he holds on to a rope, but actually that rope is a snake, to climb onto a tree, to jump over the compound wall, finally to meet her. And she says, why did you come? Then there's so much heavy storm and all that. He says, yeah, because I like you. And then the prostitute, the girl says, if you had the same level of devotion for the Supreme Personality, you'll be liberated. So that's why he treats her as his first guru, Chintamani. Like when I was young, maybe 6 or 7 years old, or maybe a little older, there was a drama where we lived, Chintamani Satakam. So back then, this I'm talking about like 45 years ago in India, people used to do dramas on all these topics. Now you have all these, dishum dishum, shooting with guns and that kind of movies. But back then, people used to actually have dramas around this topic, Krishna Karnamrita, to show the futility of material, engagements, and even a prostitute can teach that going to God is more important than being in the material realm. So that's why he treats her as his first guru. And then Somaguru Giri is his initiating spiritual master. And then, of course, Adi Guru is Krishna himself, Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's spiritual master for everybody, for all time, all space and circumstance. He's always the, Paramatma in the heart, who is also a guru, Chaitya Guru, as they say. That's the main message of this particular verse. So we need to get out of this mundane sexual
Hare Krishna,
attraction.
Prabhu.
Yes, sir.
Prabhuji, so I heard about Bilva Mangal Thakur. So it's been said that in his previous life, he didn't complete his sadhana. So then after he again take a bath, in this material world, and so the his previous spiritual master becomes Chintamani, and so then in this life, in his this particular life, in Bilva Mangal Thakur, so she instructed Mangal Thakur. Is that the this is the story I had a long back.
No,
Like
that is
so
quite possible,
Chintamani.
right? I mean, in spiritual life, everything is interconnected. In some life, somebody curses somebody, the next life they come back, they continue their journey. It is all about continuing our journey. So it is quite likely that his spiritual master came in that form to chastise him, to make him understand Krishna consciousness. It is quite likely, but I don't know if it is 100% true or not. But there could be some truth behind it, because all these things are interconnected. Even you and I.
So Prabhu, yeah, right.
Go
So
ahead.
what is the time? Like I just want to understand. Like so the Bilva Mangal Thakur came after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
As I understand, he is more recent. He's fairly recent.
And also in this purport, in this purport, it is mentioned that he lived for 700 years. If you go a little bit up. It's mentioned that Bilvamangal Thakur lived for 700 years, something like that.
Okay, let's go and find it. He lived in Vrindavan for at least 700 years in the vicinity. So it appears then he came before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he came before Chaitanya
Yeah.
Mahaprabhu, and he uh, was there on the planet after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because if he lived for 700 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only came like what, 540, 550 years ago.
Yeah.
So it is quite possible. Again, these are very intense topics. So we don't know who he was, why he lived for 700 years. Srila Prabhupada is just giving a slight, sliver of detail here about his lifetime. If you go to Krishna Caritamrta, hopefully we'll get more details.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there are people, these are all great personalities, right? Otherwise, can you imagine anybody living 700 years? Can you imagine anybody
Right.
doing this, establishing the Dwarkadish temple in Gujarat? I went to this temple. It's the most fantastic temple on the western side of India. Like eastern side, we have Puri Jagannath. Western side, we have Dwarkadish. There, you're standing in the line, right? Everybody is simply ecstatic. Everybody's like Krishna, Krishna, or Dwarkadish, or something. Nobody's, like normally if you go to an average temple, average means like where there is a more relatively modern temple. People are talking all topics. Here, Dwarkadish, everybody's like engrossed in Krishna. So if he constructed the Dwarkadish temple, he must be a very special person, right? You and I are unable to do anything like that at that scale. So
Also, Bilvamangal Thakur written the famous Braja Prasidham Navanita Chauram, right? So
right,
usually
right,
sing
yeah,
that in the Purushottam month.
yeah, very nice, beautiful song. Vraje prasidam
Yes.
navanita choram
Gopanganam Chadukola Chauram Anika Janmajita Papa Chauram Chauragaganam Purusam Namami. My son actually remembered this, memorized this particular,
Yeah,
song.
very nice. Yeah, he
So
sings
sing
very
in
nicely.
the.
You should give him training in Shastriya Sangeet so that he will use his tone much better. He is already the raw material. Now you have to train him.
That's well.
Yeah. Okay, so Dwarkadish temple, is a fantastic temple. If you go to Dwarka, of course, you will not miss it. It's really the center of the city in Dwarka, and amazing. Okay, so let's continue.
So Prabhu, I have last question. So as per the as per the what I had, so when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this metal world, so he only identified the Radha Kunda, right? And so all of the like places where Krishna used to perform his pastimes. But here in the previous in the purport, right, just finished already. So here mentioned that so Bilamangal Thakur also performed some austerities, right? So he also knew like maybe if you look at this particular purport, he mentioned that he was living in some what is called some
Brahmakund.
pious
He was living
places.
near
So,
Brahmakund.
yeah. So it was already been identified before that, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, right? So that was my question. So
No,
Brahmakunda, Radha Kunda.
yeah, you are partially correct because he lived near Brahmakund, but nobody knew where Radha Kund and Sham Kund were. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Okay.
personally directed Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. He said, "This is where these kunds are. Go dig it up." So then Rupa and Sanatana went and engaged the people to dig it up to restore the glory of Vrindavan, because Vrindavan was covered with mud. So nobody knew where Sham Kund was, where Radha Kund was. Apparently Brahma Kund was there. But even the forest, it was just like trees. So nobody knew where Krishna's pastimes happened. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent reopened the portal to that spiritual world again. But there was no mention that during Bilvamangal Thakur, Radha and Sham Kund were excavated, because that was the service for Rupa and Sanatana. So it looks like Bilvamangal Thakur came before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was there during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't know whether he met him in person or not. And then after, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu basically stayed for like what, less than 50 years on the planet. So after that, Bilvamangal
What
Thakur.
about 20,
Hmm?
26 years, right? No, I don't know. It just
No, 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 no. He lived longer than that. No, 26 years is when he, did a lot of pastimes, because he lived 17 years in Puri Jagannath, right? And he got
yeah, six.
married, and then he, took sannyas when he was below 20. So if you add 20 plus 17, right there, it is 37.
48 years, Prabhu.
40?
48.
48. That's what I remember. Like Ramanujacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhvacharya, nobody crossed 50, if I can recall correctly. They come with a special mission, they do their mission, and then they go back.
Prabhu, if I remember Ramanujacharya, I think he did his pastimes for more than 100 years, Prabhu.
For 100
Ramanujacharya.
years? 100 years?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, we have to research that then.
Okay. Yeah.
But if, by the way, if you want to see Ramanujacharya, you can still see him. His body is preserved in Sri Rangam temple. I went there and I saw that every day to his body they apply chandan and camphor. And I asked them, but doesn't the body decay? He said, how will it decay? He's the Khadga. He's the weapon of the Supreme Personality of Lord Godhead. So his body will never decay. He's been there for 1,000 years in the same sitting pose in Sri Rangam.
So we can see him like completely, like
You can see him completely. You can take darshan from 3 feet away.
Oh,
The same body 1,000 years ago is still preserved. Every day they put camphor and sandalwood paste.
okay.
So 48 years, you got your answer from Sarvana. 48 years is Ramanujacharya's life on this planet. I am not very good at these numbers, remembering all the specifics.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm sorry. Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is 48 years. So whether he met Bilva Mangala Thakur, there is no reference anywhere Prabhupada gives. So we probably have to go through this book called Sri Vallabha Digvijaya to get more insight. But again, that is all historical, right? Our goal is to understand the message. What was the message from Bilva Mangal Thakur's life? Give up material enjoyment. That's what Chintamani taught him, right? If you had applied the same energy in coming to meet me on a stormy night to the focus of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you will go back to him. And that's what we are doing. We are spending all our energy in writing C++, Java, .NET code. If we even take 20% of that and apply it to the service of the Lord, we might go back to Godhead too. Right now, we are very focused materially. That is the message we have to take.
So, Prabhu, I have a question on the spiritual masters, Prabhu. So, does the spiritual master, for the sake of the disciples, do they appear in the material world again? For example, if a spiritual master has like 100 disciples, do they come every lifetime? For example, if the disciple doesn't perform well in the devotional service and go back to Krishna, just to rescue him, does the same spiritual master comes and takes birth and try to help the disciple go back to the spiritual world, Prabhu?
So there is slight nuance here, right? It is said the spiritual master comes and reclaims you. Okay. But also in the scriptures, it says spiritual master is one, right? So right now we have so many spiritual masters. We have Navayogendra Swami, Bhaktivikas Swami, Indradumna Swami, so many different spiritual masters, right? Does it mean that you have to come to the same spiritual master? Not likely. Spiritual master is one. So, because otherwise then you are putting your spiritual master through some punishment. Because if I am a rascal, right, I will make my spiritual master come every lifetime and I'm still not ready to go back.
Yeah, that's true.
So that duty of a spiritual master, that duty continues through a different Jivatma. And that Jivatma will come, right? So for example, right now, I've taken initiation from His Holiness Bhaktivikas Swami. Was he my spiritual master last life? Very likely, but it's not like if I'm a rascal, he keeps on coming because I'm a rascal. No, he'll probably delegate it to somebody else, and who will, uh, come in the future lifetimes and reclaim me. If I don't go back in this lifetime, he will have to, delegate somebody. Yeah, otherwise, Srila Prabhupada will keep on coming again and again and again, because some of his disciples chose to not pursue the process fully. They pursued it with very good intentions, due to, for so many reasons. Just like in even our own, in our own batch, quote unquote batch, you see some people will come, they'll perform for 10, 12 years, and then they will say, I cannot do it, I have too many obligations, and then they stop coming. So same thing happened during Prabhupada's time also. Some people kind of backed out, or they took it easy. Not really backed out, but they took it easy. So it's not like Prabhupada has to come back. So he will delegate one of his disciples, because Guru Tattva is one. So he'll say, okay, this this individual did not finish his journey last time. Can you please go and reclaim him, like that? And then that reclamation process is also very impressive. When I met my spiritual master, there was instant connection, instant connection. So it is coming from some past lifetime. We don't know when, where, how. That's all achintya and inconceivable. Only the Supreme Lord will know at this point. But we don't worry about all those things. Okay, spiritual master is there. He's giving me instructions. Let me take it. If I don't take it now, next life again I have to continue. So why postpone? Right? We keep on postponing stuff. So that is the thing. But this is very interesting. He came before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he stayed beyond Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for a long time. 700 years. Can you believe it? How many generations is that? At least 9 generations.
Also, he lived as blind, right, Prabhu?
Huh?
He was blind. Bilvamangal Thakur was blind, right?
Yeah, he was
He was
blind. Yeah.
not blind. He was
Yeah,
not blind by birth, but he himself make him blind.
correct. He said that my eyes should not see any, attractive thing or a woman. So better to poke my eyes and focus simply on Krishna in my heart. And
Yeah, actually, he was so much attracted for the for the what is called conjugal favor on that topic. So as per the story, so he was just traveling to to other places. So he saw one of the brahmana's wife, and he got attracted for her. And so then after he went to his house, and so not a brahmana's wife, some different merchant wives actually.
hmm,
So then after he actually to satisfy, because he was he seems like a kind of brahmana. So then the merchant asked him what he want. So he in favor. So he asked his wife. So then he was supposed to do that particular part, and then after he realized that I'm doing wrong. And then so as per the story, so he asked what is called the hairpin from that woman, and he just put that in his eyes and become blind. And then after Krishna guided him to go to the Vrindavan. So while going back, so he met with Chintamani, and both Chintamani and Bilvamangal Thakur, they both went to what is called Vrindavan. So during the Vrindavan, because he was blind, he cannot go. He don't know where to go and how to go. So Krishna directly came as a cowherd boy and guided both Bilvamangal Thakur to go to the Vrindavan. And during this path, he met with Chintamani. So that is the story I have.
yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, you gave a lot of details. I knew that he poked his eyes because he didn't want to see the women, and why should I get attracted? But you gave a lot
Yeah,
more
right.
detail, the merchant and his wife and all that. Yeah, that's very good. Thank you for that. Yeah, we should read these books just to get some context on how foolish we can be in the material world. Krishna Karnamrita. There's one University of Washington professor, Mukund Datta Prabhu. So he took initiation from Tamal Krishna Goswami, then he quit his professorship. He is translating Krishna Karnamrita in Vrindavan. That's what the last time I met him. he said that, yes, I'm translating this. This was a few years ago. So I don't know if his book is ready or not. Okay, let's keep going. Jiva Shakshat Nahi Tate Guru Chaitya Rupam.
Jiva saksat nahi tate guru chaitya rupe.
Shiksha Guru Haye Krishna Mahanta Swarupe.
Shiksha guru hai Krishna mahanta sarupe.
Since one cannot visually experience the presence of Super Soul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. Right? So this answers your question, Sarvana. So it doesn't have to be the same individual. He appears as a liberated devotee. It doesn't say that he's the same devotee from your last life.
Okay. Thanks, bro.
Otherwise, it will be a torture, man.
Yeah.
Think about for how many lifetimes I've been dodging Krishna. So if every lifetime my guru has to come back, then it's a torture for him.
Yeah, that's true, bro.
Okay, Shiva, read purport.
It is not possible for a conditional soul to directly meet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engages in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends us the instructing spiritual master to show him favor and invoke his dormant propensity for serving the Supreme. The prospector appears before the external senses of the fortunate conditional soul, and at the same time the devotee is guided from within by the Chaitya Guru Krishna, who is seated as a spiritual master within the heart of the living entity.
Yeah, thank you. Very nice reading. So, preceptor in English means guru. Okay, guru is a Sanskrit term, although now it has entered the English language. So there are two types of gurus. Preceptor appears before external senses, means you can see with your eyes, you can hear with your ears. At the same time, devotee is guided from within by Chaitya Guru Krishna, who is seated as spiritual master within the heart of living entity. So who sits within the heart of the living entity? Who is that person called?
Shirorasai Vishnu.
Paramatma, yeah. Shirojaksha Vishnu, but his general terminology is Paramatma. So he's seated within your heart as Paramatma. So he's talking about the two types of gurus here. External guru, internal guru. External guru is you can see with the senses, hear with the senses. Internal guru is giving subtle messages. Ting, 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 ting. He's giving constant messages. If you ignore, he will not keep quiet. He'll keep on giving you these subtle messages. So I was looking at okay. Not in this one. This is another slide deck again. So I have to keep going back and forth. There were some people who did a video in BBC. They're saying guiding and responding to whispers from my subconscious. So everybody's getting these whispers from subconscious. So who do you think that whispers are from? Paramatma. So we make decisions through unconscious subliminal influences. So where are those influences coming from? Again, Paramatma. Virtual reality of our imagination is where free will is really active. But actually we can't see the future. We have illusion that we have free will. So all these scientists are saying the same thing without using the term God, because if they use the term God, they will lose their professorships. Because in academics, you are not supposed to say God. You have to be rational, scientific, blah, blah, blah. So something is coming from unconscious to the conscious. But who is that unconscious? It is your Chaitya Guru. He's telling you, don't do it, don't do it. But our free will dominate that. Right? So there are two theories in physics. One is relativity, events happening at a very large scale. It is called determinism. Means everything is pre-planned. You don't have free will at all. From the beginning of the universe to end of universe, everything is pre-planned. Second is quantum mechanics, which happens at a very small scale, which supports indeterminism, means opposite of determinism. So according to quantum mechanics, free will exists. And there is, again, there are boundaries. It's not like you can do anything. Can you go and create a new planet? You cannot, right? There is some boundaries. You can decide whether you'll eat laddu or gulab jamun or singada, one of the three. You cannot say all of a sudden, I want to eat something from moon. Can you even go to the moon to eat that? So your choices are pretty limited. So you have free will, but the boundaries are pretty limited. So they did this research. They said, they asked people to push some buttons on the screen, and they put MRI transmitters on their heads. So even before you push the button, the mental activity seems to be going higher. Boom, 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 boom. So what they found is there are two states. One is readiness potential unconscious. Second is conscious choice. So in this readiness potential stage, apparently we are getting some signals from somebody else internally. And then we are negotiating. Should I do it? Not do it? Should I do it? Not do it? And then you make a conscious choice and then push the button. So these are simple experiments, silly experiments, right? There'll be a screen with some UI. There'll be a button. They'll put some electrodes on your head to measure your brain activity or your bloodstream flow and things like that before you push that button. And they say that this has been replicated hundreds of times. You can go and watch this on BBC, British Broadcasting Company. So there is first order deliberation and then there is second order deliberation. First order is, okay, I'm a tiger, I'm going to kill some animal. And then it is deliberating. Should I invite jackal also? Because tiger will only eat like 20%, jackals will finish the rest. Second order deliberation is something higher. Oh, I'm not about food, but should I have some decency and decorum? Should I wear clothes? Right? To deliberate about our future. So there's a lot of research going on between mind and body connection. So first the decision happens in the mind, and then some signals are sent to the motor. Motor means some motion. Motion happens by brain. Actually, these people are smart because they divided the mind and the brain into two separate things. Most people think mind is in the brain. No, mind is your consciousness, which is higher. Mind is more closer to your consciousness, which is higher than brain, which is just like, if you're doing robotics, you'll have a lot of actuators and sensors. So when the mind, the CPU sends a signal, the actuator will say, okay, move 6.3 inches to the right. And then that arm will move 6.3 inches to the right. So there is thinking, feeling, and willing. Thinking is conscious intention, feeling is evaluation, and willing is intent to commit. Okay, I will do it now. I will move forward and do it. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about thinking, feeling, and intention. Modern scientist talks about conscious intention, evaluation, and commit. Right? Like in Amazon, there's one of the 14 value systems is disagree and commit. You may disagree with your boss or colleagues, but you have to commit in the interest of company's future. So that committing precedes with two steps, thinking and feeling. So modern science is not that far away from scriptures. It's just that scientists don't want to use the term God because they're afraid they'll lose their job. So they're predicting 7 seconds before you make a decision, you're already making a decision through MRI scanners. So it could be choice A, choice B, like that. So there are two kinds of activities, right? One is picking from a set of choices, which banana, which orange. Second is choosing, which is more complex. Should I jump and take a new job offer, for example? Right? So choosing decides on salary, dependence, ambition, skill level, so many things. Responsibilities. Am I willing to take this many responsibility? So sometimes if the responsibilities are higher, I may not even take a job position actually. When I was young, I used to take any job. But now I say, okay, can I really do this? Should I take it or not take it? So all these decisions are happening internally. There is a Jivatma Paramatma Sambhashan going on in the heart. There's a lot of deliberation going on in the heart. This, of course, is just like the classic E is equal to MC square. And then we come to Paramatma. Paramatma is the whisperer who is whispering. He's giving you little tidbits of information because he's the spiritual master within the heart. He's telling you do, don't do. But sometimes we agree, sometimes we override Paramatma. Hey Paramatma, please keep quiet. I will do this. That is when you make mistakes. That's when I made mistakes in my life. Tato du sangam ustrijyam
Tato dusangam ustrija
satsu sajjeta buddhiman
sastu sajeta buddhiman
santa evasya chinnanti
santa evasya chinnanti
mano vyasangam uktibihim.
manasangam
One should therefore avoid bad company and associate only with devotees. Now you know why you don't associate with bad company. Then you will make bad decisions. With their realized instructions, such saints can cut the knot connecting one with activities unfavorable to devotional service. So you can do any activity. You have the freedom. You can do any activity within boundaries. But what do saints do? They connect the knot, connecting one with unfavorable activities. So good activities you adopt, which is unfavorable, you give up. Simple. So bad activities you give up. Good activity. What is good or bad? That is nothing to do with your material life, right? Sometimes material life says don't lie, don't steal. That is called good. But we have to go beyond that. We have to go with unfavorable to devotional service. Just like Rupa Goswami says, anasaktasyam vishaya. I'm forgetting the verse now. Anasatyasya vishaya upartum upayunjitaha nirbandha krishna sambandha yukta vairagyam uchyate. Nirbandha krishna sambandha. If it is unconnected to Krishna, just ignore it. Like for example, a bunch of relatives are coming to your home and you have to go to a Bhagavad Gita class. You put some lame excuse and say you get out of that situation. You say, you know what, I promised my friend to do X, Y, and Z. Sorry, my wife will talk to you, but I have to go. So you escape from the situation. You come to the Bhagavad Gita class. Why? Because you are Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha. Anything to do with Krishna, you do. Anything is Nirbandha. I mean, if something is not connected to Krishna, you don't do. Simple. So anything unfavorable to devotional service is bad. It may be good technically, meeting with all of your relatives, having a nice time, exchanging gifts. But if possible, you should escape from that situation and do devotional activities. Of course, you cannot do that all the time. Once in a while, you just do some drama, hang around with devotees and pretend that you are interested in their useless conversation about cricket or some movie heroine. And then at the first possible exit, you say, yeah, I just remembered I have an offshore call. And then you come and attend Bhagavad Gita call. This is your offshore call. Right? So you should do that. I also do that to escape from that unnecessary chatter. Because ultimately everything is a vibration, right? So depends upon what vibration you should go after. If you go after bad vibrations, you'll be stuck in the bad. If you go after good vibrations, you'll be stuck in the good. Everything is a vibration. Cricket is also a vibration. Bhagavad Gita is also a vibration. Ultimately, it's all coming through sound. But you have to lean towards good vibration, good patterns of energy. And how it happens, I don't know. I really don't know. But when you hear Bhagavad Gita, you make progress. When you hear about cricket, you actually go down. So maybe there is a frequencies are different, amplitudes are different. I don't know. Okay, so Shiva read. Oh, Nagaprabhu, please read.
This verse, which appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.26.26, was spoken by Lord Krishna to Uddhava in the text known as the Uddhava Gita. The discussions related to the story of Purava and the healthy courtesan Urvasi. When Urvasi left Purava, he was deeply affected by the separation and had to learn to overcome his grief. It is indicated that to learn the transcendental science, it is imperative that one avoid the company of undesirable person and always seek the company of saints and sages who are able to impart lessons of transcendental knowledge. The potent word of such realized souls penetrate the heart, thereby eradicating all misgivings accumulated through the years of undesirable association. For a neophyte devotee, there are two kind of persons whose association is undesirable. One, gross materialists who constantly engage in sense gratification, and unbelievers who do not serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead but serve their senses and their mental whims in terms of their speculative habits. Intelligent persons seeks transcendental realization should very scrupulously avoid their company.
Scrupulously. They say, right? Oh, that fellow doesn't have scruples. Means they don't have right moral compass. So scrupulously avoid their company. This is exactly what I was saying, right? So when you have to talk about cricket or some movie heroine, just like all of our relatives talk, so you pretend to do something and quickly exit, hit the exit button, and then you give some excuse and come out of that conversation. So two types of people we should avoid. Who are the two types of people? One is gross materialists. Gross means very large. Especially American kids use this term, gross. Oh, that is so gross, like that they'll say. So first is we should avoid gross materialists. Second is unbelievers. So why should we avoid unbelievers?
Because first they are atheists, Prabhu, and then they talk nonsense without any uh, scriptural reference. They
Yeah,
talk with their mystical ideas.
but that is correct. But more importantly, from our own selfish perspective, why should we avoid them?
Because if we talk something about Krishna in front of them, they usually do offense, which
Right,
is out of different offenses. So
Right.
we should not mingle with this kind of
Yeah.
people.
So you are actually doing them a disservice. They will go away and away from Krishna by doing offenses. But there is even more selfish reason. What is that? Okay, I'll give you the answer. They will contaminate our own mind and we will forget Krishna after some time. You see the point?
Yeah,
We may not
that's
be able
correct.
to elevate them, but they may be succeed in pulling us down. Right? So from a strictly selfish perspective, we should avoid. I mean, I'm not saying you should yell at them or fight with them. Just very skillfully engage in conversation for 5 minutes and hit the exit button. Oh, I have to pick up my son from Taekwondo. Sorry, I have to go now. Exit. Or offshore call because we are all in IT, right? Oh, I'm sorry, man. So difficult these offshore calls. I'll talk to you again next week, okay? I have to go now. That's it. Go to the offshore call, which is Bhagavad Gita call, Zoom call. So some or the other you escape because otherwise they will pull you down. Of course, them making offenses is a good thing. You are thinking of their welfare, but first think of your own welfare because if you hang around with them too long, they will pull you down. So these are simple techniques. So this story of Pururava, basically Pururava, how heaven operates is once you do some pious activities, right? You go to heaven, and then there everything is free. Liquor is free, food is free. So since everything is free and you don't have to go to office to work, then you get into all these other kinds of activities, like engaging with various kinds of women or men in the spiritual, not spiritual, in the heavenly planets for sensual enjoyment, bodily enjoyment. So he got attached to Urvasi. But Urvasi is not his wife, right? Urvasi is available for everyone. So after a while, she said, "Sorry, dear Pururava, I have to go now." And he became deeply affected. Right? So that is the story that was just to kickstart the conversation. Prabhupada is mentioning that story. But really, his primary point is these two things. Srila Prabhupada operates in every purport at multiple levels. He'll give you some very heavy funda about spirituality, and then he'll give you one or two practical tidbits. For me, I find these practical tidbits more valuable because I'm not at that platform where I can think high spirituality, right? So these are the two tidbits from this purport. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido
Satam prasangan mama virya samvido
bhavanti hritkarna rasayanah katah
bhavanti karna rasayanah katha
तद्दोषनादस्वपवर्ग्यवर्त्मनि
rajasanada asya parvavartani
Shraddharatir, sorry, the boy is still saying, Shraddharatir bhaktir anukramisyati.
sadharati bhaktiriyanu prasmisyati.
Okay. Let's break this down. Anu, krama, ishyati. Krama means step-by-step process, right? Anukaran means you are following that step-by-step process. So anukramisyati, you are following that bhakti in a step-by-step process. And how does it come? Via Shraddha. And what is Rati? Rati means taste, intense taste for doing something. So here he is giving us some techniques. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees. So right now in our society of devotees, we have 5 people, including me. Right? Very small society, but you cannot do this in front of your office colleagues or something like that. It's not possible. It is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. So what does he say here? Bhavanti hrit karna. Karna means ear. Rasayanaha means there is a lot of rasa, lot of delicious mellows in there. Kataha means story. or Krishna Katha. Greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens. Means this experience is there. Right now we clog the windows, right? So our soul is connected to all these experiences, but we clogged all the windows. We put a lot of junk in there. What is that junk? Junk about cricket, about movies, about relatives, talking some general topic which is useless. Like for example, right? Whole of 2020 people talked about two topics: COVID and Trump. Have we benefited any bit from those two topics? Zero. Trump is gone and COVID will also be gone. But we wasted all our time in talking about these two useless topics. So we have to hear about Krishna. So we have to unclog that junk in our pipes. So then that experience, transcendental experience opens. Just like we have this commonly used term, right? I also have it on my resume. User experience, UX. So we have to replace UX with TX, transcendental experience. That's a good one. Let me write it down. UX to TX, transformation. Digital transformation is the buzzword right now. So we have to go from UX to TX. So right now, who gave me that knowledge? Krishna gave. I did not even think of it. While I was speaking, this suddenly came on my lips. So Krishna gave this information, right? A lot of times we are not very smart to think around that level. So from user experience to transcendental experience. You have to do it within our lifetime, not wait for the next lifetime. And gradually one attains firm faith, nishta, or rati. In this case, it is rati. No, shraddha, shraddha. Shraddha is faith here. Rati is the more attraction. Specifically, rati also means mellows or taste. And in due course, one develops into attraction and devotion. So what happens? It's a step-by-step process. Transcendental experience, then comes firm faith. So this user experience is senses basically. So now you know Western society has a long way to go because they are still worrying about user experience. How to enjoy physical devices like iPhone, iPad, computer screens. Those are all UX. So we are thinking even higher now. Not we, but saints. We have to follow in the saints' footsteps. So that firm faith then will morph into attraction and devotion. So now you can see that this is science, right? Isn't this science? Is giving you step-by-step process. The transcendental. Oh, so basically you open the pathway to transcendental experience. So this is science, step-by-step process. It's not like only chemistry is science. Devotion is also science. But this is in Chaitanya Caritamrta. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives direct instruction. Do this, don't do this. But here he's giving you more detail. The acharyas are giving us. Okay, so who wants to read next?
This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.25, where Kapiladeva replies to the questions of his mother Devahuti about the process of devotional service. As one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets the spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is the taste of one's devotional service. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing the signs of devotion from a qualified spiritual master. Then, as he as he mm, as he associates with with devotees and tries to adopt the means instructed by the spiritual master in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. Strong attachment for the transcendental service of the Lord develops as he continues listening to the messages of Godhead. And if he steadfastly proceeds in this way, he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So just like a physics experiment, we are getting more and more points now, right? So the next step is develop confidence. So once you have attraction, Shraddha, what do? You do sadhu sangha. Then you do bhajana kriya, right? You remember this sequence? Ato Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Tata Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti Syat, means anarthas, bad things from heart will go away. Then Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So step by step, Krama Kramena. Remember in the last verse, he uses the term Krameti, Anuknon, in this verse only. Anukramashyati. Anukrama. Step by step, you go forward. So what do we do next? We develop confidence by hearing from a qualified spiritual master, Swami Prabhupada or his disciples. Then what do? Misgivings and obstacles are vanquished by execution of devotional service. Misgivings means what? Anybody?
With unwanted things.
Unwanted things, yeah. Strong attachment develops. So what is the strong attachment in Sanskrit? Nishta, right? He is elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is prema. So bhava and then finally prema. So from user experience, so I could probably qualify it as sensual user experience based on senses. So UX becomes sucks. SUX, which really sucks actually in the material world. So from sucks, you open the pathway for transcendental experience, firm faith, attraction. What is attraction in Sanskrit? Asakti. Asakti. Then you develop confidence by hearing the signs from a qualified spiritual master. Then misgivings, all the anartha nivriti is happening here. Then attachment, nishta comes. Then bhava comes. And then prema comes. And in prema, there are 6 levels of prema. This is a very advanced topic. We are not there, so we don't need to worry about it right now. When we are in prema, we can really think about it. So any questions on this one?